Welcome back to another episode of Good Times Ahead. I'm your co-host, Nick Eustace. This is my boy, Tanner Thompson, and today we have a very special episode. And honestly, I'm fucking pumped. We grew up watching this guy. He's basically won everything there is to win in hockey, including 2 cups with the Chicago Blackhawks. Former Toronto Maple Leaf and Mimico legend, Dave Bolland.
What's going on, guys? How's it going?
Thank you, Dave. Thanks again for coming on, man.
No, anytime. Always happy to get on with some local Mimico guys.
Yeah, this is fucking awesome. I'm ready to dive into it.
We're going to start like chronologically here. So we're going to take it back to the Mimico days. Obviously, you are from there. Can you give us the little spiel about what Mimico means to you, what it kind of taught you growing up?
Yeah, Mimico was a blue-collar. It was a little different when I was growing up. There wasn't much buildings there now, and a lot of things are built up. So I was about, my dad immigrated over from Scotland around probably just after I was born. So I was born in 86, so probably just late 80s, 90s. And he kind of came into Mimico and kind of started that as our home. Lived on just literally probably 5-minute walk from Mimico Arena. So Mimico Arena was the home base, but my older brother was playing hockey at the time. I was probably about 5 or 6 years old, and I kind of yelled at my dad, said I wanted to play. So we couldn't really get out there and afford the nicest equipment. So we had hand-me-downs and everything that was brought to us. But so my dad got me skates and a stick, and I started going out in the street playing. I think used to go down to the hockey rink down by the lake shore. It's outdoor rink. I'm not sure what it's called. It's by the McDonald's there. Forget what it's called, but there's an outdoor rink there that we used to walk to, go down there and play. And then Mimico Arena is where we played our rep hockey. So probably 6 or 7 is when I started playing at Mimico Arena, playing house league, started getting into it, and eventually went up to single A, played for the Mississauga Hornets, I think they were called at the time. So started playing with Mississauga Hornets. Things were going well. So then I think someone from North York Rangers came along and kind of said, hey, like, would you want to get up and come play AAA? I think it was AAA at the time. So I started playing AAA, and then started playing AAA until I was drafted by the Knights. But growing up in Mimico was, like I said, it was just a blue-collar family. Everybody worked hard. Everybody go to the Blue Goose for a few beers. That's where my dad would hang out most of the time. But it was just a hard-working area. There wasn't much there when I was growing up. We had Mimico Arena that was there. We had the Blue Goose, St. Leo's, where I went to school. Those were the basically the 3 home bases where if you wanted to find someone, they'd be at St. Leo's playing street hockey, they'd be at Mimico playing hockey on the ice, and the fathers would be at Blue Goose having a beer.
Nice. Yeah, Mimico's been a big part of my life too, obviously growing up there and spending my time in the arena. Can you talk a bit about how lacrosse, well, for me, it's taught me so much about, being gritty, being tough for that sort of thing for lacrosse now. How did Mimico sort of mold you into playing lacrosse and hockey, and Mimico sort of mold you into the tough guy that you are?
Yeah, I don't think I'm a tough guy. I think I'm a hard-nosed guy. I wasn't fighting a lot of guys out there, but yeah, I think the correlation between hockey and lacrosse are great, and I think a lot of kids should put their hockey sticks down and play lacrosse during the summertime, because it's still cardio. You're getting all the cardio, and you're getting a good workout with cross-checking and everything, and the toughness side of it. That was one thing that kind of got me a little better at eye-hand coordination and toughness. When you're playing lacrosse, you're getting pounded every time you're on the court there, and someone's always cross-checking you. You're taking a stick to the chest or the arms and legs, and it toughens you up. So whenever my season was done, when I was AAA, I'd put my hockey gear in the basement. I wouldn't pick it up until next September or August or whatever, until lacrosse season was over, and it'd be all lacrosse until next hockey season. But I think for kids these days, that's what they should do. I think you get too much concentrated in hockey, and that was the one thing I didn't want to get too much into hockey. I love hockey, but I also love lacrosse. So like once lacrosse was done, like I was excited to put my skates back on. I was ready to go. I was like, fuck, I can't wait to get back out here and play hockey. Nowadays, I don't know if some kids might be getting a little bit too much hockey all year round. I see a lot of kids taking a month off and boom, June, they're back into it. But it's whatever you feel and whatever you think. But I think a nice break from it always gives you a good little mindset and kind of gets your mind back into it and kind of makes you miss the game and want to get back into it.
Yeah, it becomes a lot, right? Just only focusing on one thing, and your mind gets too engulfed in that one thing, and you start to overthink it, and then it goes downhill from there a little bit. But was there a time that you kind of knew that you were done with lacrosse and going to hockey? Because I know you. I looked at your stats for junior B. I know you had 16 goals in 16 games with junior B, which is very good as a rookie.
Was that lacrosse?
Yeah, that was lacrosse.
Yeah, that was. I think I was an underage that year. I think I was playing bantam, and then I was called up to the junior B team, and I started playing there. And then I think I got drafted or Mississauga drafted me in junior A in the first round. Yeah. And that was the year that I was going to play for London Knights. And I remember Dale and Mark Hunter being like, "Hey, do you want to pursue hockey, or do you want to pursue lacrosse? Which one do you want to do?" And there's more money in hockey. Lacrosse wasn't really paying. I don't think at that time it wasn't paying much. And I think you're probably making, at NLL, you're probably making 10 or 15 grand a year or something like that. But so that's when I had to give it up. But yeah, it was that period of time when I was like, I love the game. If there was more money in lacrosse, I probably would play lacrosse. I love the action. I love the toughness. I love the movement, how fast it was, and just the stick. Playing with the stick, it's one of the easiest things that you can just walk outside and find a wall, and you can just start throwing a ball and
little wall ball
sit there for hours and just throw the ball back and forth just by yourself. When you're playing hockey, you kind of need someone to. Well, now you have these devices that will pass the puck back to you, but back in the day, you needed a brother or a friend to sit there with you, and you needed a few people to get a game of hockey going. So, but the love for lacrosse was always there, and I still miss it today.
So he plays in the NLL. Right now, this is his first year, and we went to a lacrosse game in Hamilton. And me personally, the lacrosse game, the atmosphere is fucking awesome. Like they were selling like $5 beers there for the first half, was it?
Yeah.
And just people are rowdy. People are getting into it.
And what's a good way to grow the game, do you think, for us? What do you think would be one of the best ways to grow the game for lacrosse?
The best ways to grow the game for lacrosse. Oh boy, that's a tough one. I think they're on a great path right now. I know hockey kind of overpowers it here in Canada with everything that's going on, but I think eventually over time it'll start growing, and you can see that it's evolved. You can see that it's evolved over probably since when did the NLL start? Probably in 2000.
I think it was in the early 90s. I think it was
early 90s.
Around there, yeah.
So I just remember going to the Maple Leaf Gardens to watch the NLL championship there, the Rock play, and like it was always a great atmosphere to see what was going on. But I think I'm not sure. I can't answer that question. That's a tough one to answer. But I think they're on the right path, and I think you just got to keep getting sticks in kids' hands and keep pursuing the game. And the good thing about lacrosse is it's cheap. Hockey's so expensive for kids. Kids these days, it probably costs, like if you're a working family that makes 60, 70, 80 grand a year, like I'd say probably 20 grand of that, 15 grand of that's going to hockey for your kid. Like that's expense. That's a big expense for parents.
Yeah.
The good thing about lacrosse is you buy a kid a stick that's what, $200, and they can go out and play, and like everything during the summer there isn't I'd say wouldn't be that much expensive for lacrosse. But
no. Dave, we just want to jump into, you were talking about atmospheres, and I know in the OHL, like you can't really get a better atmosphere than London Knights. I went to Western, so I got to experience London as well, and my mom's family is from London. How was your time playing there? How'd you like that? And did you ever go to the Seeps?
Oh yeah, I went to the Seeps a lot. Yeah. Yeah, time in London was fun. So my time in London was actually really fun because we kind of took over the city
Oh yeah, yeah.
when I was there. They weren't really doing that good. The the team, I think Dale and Mark just bought it. I think a year or two before I joined the team there, and then we were at the Ice House for a little bit of my first year. That was just off the 401, and things weren't looking too good. So eventually they got a new rink downtown at the Labatt Center that was electric. 10,000 fans. Then we did some good drafting. We had Corey Perry, myself, Rob Shrimp, Dylan Hunter. The list goes on.
You guys had a stacked team.
Yeah. I think everybody from that 04 team, I think it was 04. Everybody from that team played one professional game, either if it was East Coast or NHL or whatever professional league. Everybody played a game, so that's a pretty cool stat to have from an OHL team. But that, like, those 3 or 4 years that I played here was pretty cool. Like after winning the Memorial Cup, that year was crazy. I remember going out. There'd be lines at Jim Bob's. You probably don't know.
I remember JBRs.
Yeah, we go to Jim Bob's and we just walk past the lines. We go to Seeps, just walk right in, and we took over the city that year, and it was pretty funny. Like we'd be going out nights before games and still beating teams 7-1. We'd be getting home at probably 2 or 3 in the morning, still hung over the next day, and go to the rink, and we'd play teams and we would beat them. So it was a pretty funny year. But that year after Memorial Cup, I remember we won. We went out, partied all night. I think the next day or 2 days later, a few of us, we all went golfing, and we were having a parade for the Memorial Cup, and everybody's like, fuck, there's probably going to be about 200 people there. There's not going to be many people here. It's London, Ontario. Not many people are going to come out and watch us at the parade. So we got pretty drunk at this. We got pretty drunk at golf. We stagger into the parade. Everybody's all burnt, and we find out, we're like, oh shit. And there's probably I'd probably say 100,000 people going up and through and everywhere.
Holy shit.
Just around the Labatt Center, just probably up King and up to Richmond and around. It was pretty crazy and pretty fun. So London was fun, and we all come back here because what a great city it is. Summertime's great. The wintertime, it's not really so great because all the snow and everything, but summertime here are the best. We all come back, we golf, and have a fun time.
Yeah, I love London. Like, as I said, my mom's family's from there. So I grew up, my uncles are the coaches at Western for the football team. So I've grown up around London my entire life. And I love Richmond Row. Like, as I got older, we started going to Joe Cool's instead.
Yeah.
So
Joe Cool's is a good place. Yeah. Great place to have a beer and a deep dish.
Yeah, the deep dish pizzas are amazing there.
How did you pick your golf course out there? I'm sure there's a bunch of little private ones.
No. I'm a member at Redtail, the Oaks, and the Hunt Club.
Nice.
We kind of rotate. We have men's league, so we do a lot of golf.
We'll get into golf a little bit later.
This guy fucking loves golf.
Yeah, I got some questions about golf.
We were at the sim yesterday.
Yeah, we're working on it. Do you want to go into World Junior stuff?
Yeah. How's your time at the World Juniors? Like winning that?
Go ahead.
Winning that, how did that feel?
Yeah, so that was after. So I was that dream team. That was 04-05, or that year. I was the last cut to be made on that team. So I was literally right there until they said, "Hey, you're going to be back next year. We're going to take a lot of the older guys that can have a chance. So you're going to have your chance next year. So don't worry about it. You're going to be back here." So I was like, that's fine. Like, it's a pretty stacked team anyways. I probably wouldn't have played. So next year I came in. That next year, I think in the OHL, I think I had I forget how many goals. I think
I saw your last year. You had 130 points, which is fucking insane.
Yeah, so I had 130 points. I think I had 57 goals in 57 games. Shrimpy and I were in the lead. I know Shrimp, he came back a little bit later because he was at camp. I came back earlier from my camp, and I think during that last game there, he had 56 and I had 57. And he's like, "Hey, could you please?" I'm like, "Please give it to me. I want 57." And so I set him up for his last goal. I'll give him 57. But yeah, so awesome. World Juniors, yeah. So World Juniors that year, we weren't stacked. We had a lot of hard workers. I think we had Cal Chipchura, Cogliano, Ryan O'Mara, Justin Pogge. Our team wasn't the star team like the year before. We were a gritty, hard-working team with Brent Sutter was our coach. I remember coming in there, and I think Russia was pretty stacked, and US was stacked. They had Shrimpy, they had Kessel. They had a really good team, actually. US had a really good team. But we were in Vancouver, pretty cool atmosphere, playing at the Roger, I forget what it's called now, but what it was back in the day.
Rogers Place.
I think it was a Rogers Place now. And it was filled, packed. And we were beating on teams. I remember we were just laying guys out. Downey, forget who else, but we had some big hitters that were just killing kids. And I remember I was like, holy shit. I'm like, we actually have a chance to win the gold here. And I think we played Russia in the finals there. And I think we spanked them 4-1 or something like that. We didn't give them a chance. So it was fun. It was great. And then the party after in Vancouver was crazy because I'm not sure the last time Canada won in Canada. I forget when that was. I think it was a long time ago or so. But that party was unbelievable. We were out partying everywhere at the Roxy, and
I was just gonna ask that.
Was the next question.
So it was fun, and to do it in Vancouver was pretty cool.
What's so special about the Roxy? Because I lived in Vancouver for like 7-8 weeks this past summer, and I lived just above Granville Street, and the Roxy was closed all fucking summer. And
because of COVID.
Yeah, other places were open, but I don't know why the Roxy was closed. But like, I'd heard about it throughout, like Bizanet talk about it, just a bunch of hockey players talk about it. So I was ready to go, and then I was disappointed because it was shut. Like, what makes the Roxy so special?
It's just a bar. It's got a bar in the back, and it's just a dive. Like I'd say Joe Cool's is actually nicer than the Roxy.
Oh fuck.
But yeah, like the Roxy's just a hands down great place to have some beers and you can just sit there. There's live music and it's a fun place.
It gets greasy there.
What's your favorite city to go out in your travels across both countries?
I'd probably say LA. LA was always a fun place to go out and travel. I got to know a lot of friends there. I got to be friends with Vince Vaughn and a few comedians there. So we'd always, whenever we go into town, I'd give them a holler, and night before game, we'd go for some drinks and have a nice dinner, or either if we were there for a few days and we could hang out. So it was always fun.
What's Vince Vaughn like?
He's down to earth. He is like he is in movies. He's a funny guy, but I'd probably say he's probably the smartest guy I've ever met.
Really?
Yeah, he knows everything, and it's pretty unbelievable, his IQ of the world and just little things around that I was like, holy shit, I didn't know that. But yeah, I couldn't chirp him because he'd chirp me pretty quick, and it'd be final. But we'd have some fun together.
We had a guy tell us to ask you what playing wiffle ball and bumper cars with Vince Vaughn was like. I don't know what the fuck that means, but
yeah. So like, there was a game in Chicago. They put these bumper cars. They put these bumper cars in this ring, and they'd have like almost like almost like a basketball net on each side, but then you had almost like lacrosse sticks, but those handheld little wiffle. It's like. I forget what they're called.
Yeah.
But you'd be sitting there and like we'd be probably 20 drinks deep and we go play this game and guys would just be killing guys and we'd be passing back and forth and like guys would be running it. But then you had to like, it's almost like lacrosse, but you're moving and you had to like pass it and pass it back. And then you had to throw it up and hit this little target up on this basketball net and you get a point. So like we'd go there. It was right around the corner from my house. And I remember I was like, hey, like we should go do this a few times. So I'd go there with Vince and Steve Byrne and Peter Billingsley, and we'd get pretty drunk and we'd start fucking playing these games, and it was pretty fun. It was a good time.
Who was the best athlete when after 20 beers? Yeah, everyone's got 4 eyes.
But then we had like Shrimpy would be there, and he'd be just hitting people with a wiffle stick and.
Yeah. What would you say that's like the coolest part off the ice that you've gotten to experience, like meeting celebrities, stuff like that, or is there anything else that you would say is trumps that?
No, meeting Vince was actually cool. He's just a good friend and a great person to be around. Like it was always cool. But playing hockey, you kind of get to do a lot of interesting things. We got to go to the White House after we won the 2010 Stanley Cup, so we got to meet Obama. So that was pretty cool. There's some pretty cool things that you get to do. I think we went to in 2011 we went on the Jay Leno show. So there's some pretty cool things that you get to do after winning the cup and when you're a good team. There's a lot of cool things that happen.
What was that like playing on that team? Because I was looking at the roster last night and you guys were absolutely stacked. That Chicago team.
Yeah. So that team we had there was like we had a stacked team in London. But this team in Chicago in 2010 was even more special. We had like everybody on that team should have been making $5 million or more. Like we had, you go down the list, like it was like we had myself, Buff, and Ladd on the third line. That's a pretty good third line. And then you had Steger, you had Kaner and Taser. And then on defense, our defense was stacked. It was a pretty incredible team. But that team that year was pretty cool. And I remember like same thing. Like I remember going and we were beating teams. Like we were just having fun some nights, even in NHL. But it was like that team was stacked, and I think we didn't know at the start what we had until maybe mid-season that we're like, fuck, like we could have a chance here and we can win the Stanley Cup that year in 2010. But I think in 2009, that 2008-2009 season kind of set us up for 2010. We had a good team that year too. Like we still had the same. We had Martin Havlat, he left. But we had Hossa and Kopecky that came in 2010. But 2009, we still had the same team. We just took out, I think, Marty Havlat. I forget who else left. But that year, we made it all the way to the conference finals and played the Detroit Red Wings. That's when Datsuk, Zetterberg, and all those guys were just flying. And we lost that year. So that kind of set us up for the next year, knowing that like we were kind of like, fuck, like they're pretty good. Like we got to be a team like that. And we kind of learned our lesson and kind of took things off what they did into the next season to win 2010. So that year was a learning curve of losing into winning in 2010.
Would you say that was the closest team you played with? Like just the camaraderie in the locker room, like off the ice?
Yeah, I'd say that would probably be like my team in London. We were really close. But I'd say that Chicago team was probably the closest group knit group of guys that we were always around. Like most Mondays we'd have off. So if it was an afternoon Sunday game or a late Sunday night game, we'd race home, throw our outdoor clothes on, and we had there was the pony or the scout eventually, but we'd be right at the bar and we'd be out there getting drunk and having a good time. And that's kind of how you get close to your teammates. When you're at the rink, there's so much stuff going on at the rink. Guys have their own pre-games and what they do, and guys are on tables. So you're not really you're not really hanging out with all the guys at the rink at the same time, but when we're at the bar, we're all big at one big table, and guys are moving around, taking shots. We get food, and we're hanging out and we're shooting the shit. And that's kind of how you get to know the guy beside you. And that was that was one of the best things about that Chicago team was wherever we were, whatever city, we'd throw our bags and we would head right to the bar and have some drinks and enjoy our time. And I think that's what made us into a great team and tight knit team.
Who was the guy that kind of welcomed you in when you first got there?
Probably when I got there, like Siebes was there. Well, I got there when Siebes was there when I came up. Brent Seabrook, but like guy like Marty Lapointe. Marty Lapointe was an older guy. He was there. Martin Havlat. Those are some of the guys that kind of welcomed me in and kind of helped me become a pro and kind of figure out what it takes to stay up there. So they were good influences, and they were great with me and helped me along the way.
How important do you think it is for teams to have like those locker room guys, like guys who just off the ice and on the ice kind of keep the team together?
Yeah, they're kind of the glue guys.
Yeah,
like Brent Seabrook was one of those guys. I forget where we were. I think he had a concussion, and I don't know if it was 2010. I think it was 2010 season. He might have been concussed and he was out for a bit. And we came up with the belt for whoever played the best or whoever had that game was the best player. And I think he threw on like a pair of like short shorts and came in with a wrestling belt and kind of made the guys laugh, and we had a good time with it. But he was always that kind of glue guy that was like, hey, like if someone was down or if we weren't doing too good, hey, let's go to the bar or let's have a party at your place. So he was that glue guy, that guy that was always around and making the team great and having a good time with us.
Just always a positive guy, right?
That's fucking awesome.
I got an interesting question. Someone asked me to ask you this. So you were in Chicago for 3 years before winning, I believe. In
2010 and 2013.
Yeah. So what did you see constantly go up in terms of like what got you to be able to win the cup? Like what was the one character trait that your team had that just grew over time?
A character trait that we had, I'd say the one character trait that we had was that we like I said, we were a tight knit team. So if one guy was fighting in the corner, there'd be all 5 guys would be in there. Like we did everything as a team. We didn't have cliques. Like there wasn't like some teams you go to, you got like Euro guys kind of hanging over there, and you got like the Czech guys. Like, you kind of have cliques and guys kind of hang out. Like with that team, we were just so tight knit that anything that happened with anything that went down, like we were there as a team. We were there as a unit. We were there as a group, and I think we all knew our roles in that team. I knew I wasn't a 50 goal scorer, so I wasn't trying to dangle around Pronger to put in the back of the net. Ben Eager knew that he was a fourth line grinder, and he had to go out there and grind and hit. Kane knew he was a 50 goal scorer, 100-point guy, so he knew that he can do that. We all knew our role on that team, and I think that's how we grew to be that kind of team.
That's awesome. That's the one thing that like I miss about playing hockey in general is like having that tight group of guys. Like the team I last played for, we probably last played together like 8 years ago, and we still to this day like go out all the time together. And like one of the guys I played with, he ended up winning the cup on St. Louis, Robbie Fabry, and like all the boys came out to the cup party, and like that was probably one of the drunkest nights I've ever had in my entire life. How the fuck were your cup parties? Like I heard about a story about how you got the cup stuck in between 2 buildings. Like
yeah. So we had some good times. There's X-rated ones, and then there's ones for there's stories for the crowd for the podcast. But so it was Ben Eager and I think we went to so the team kind of said, hey, like, don't take the cup to the Cubs game, because if you take it there, it's all the Cubs fans are going to come fucking running out and it's going to be crazy. So I remember I knew a guy that owned a building there that had the bleachers on the back. So we're like, well, we're not going to take it to a Cubs game. We're going to take it outside the Cubs game. So I think it was Eager, Bursch, and myself. So we took it to the bleachers there. We were pouring beers out of it. Like, I think there's still pictures online of us holding it up behind the bleachers there, and fans were looking out. So fans piled out of the Cubs game. The front street was packed. So my buddy was a cop. So I'm like, hey man, like, we need you here. Like, we can't get the fuck out of here. Like, there's people everywhere. So they came in, we hopped in the back of the cop car, went to my place. So my place in Chicago is like a row house. So it's 4 stories high. It just goes, it's skinnier, but straight up. And we had a little fire on the roof. We had a few people there, and my neighbor's place is probably, I'd probably say apart was an arm's length. Literally you could like reach over and grab something from his roof. So I forget, I don't know if it was me or Eags, kind of walked with it, tripped and fell and kind of chucked it over the edge. And it got lodged between mine and my neighbor's place, but it was only down like 4 feet. So I'm like, fuck. So the cup guy at the time was a buddy of mine. So Eager and I had him by his legs. We're dangling him off the roof, and we're like, fuck, if he falls, like, he's dead. Like, don't drop him. So we had to pull it back up, got it back up. We got some pliers, and the whole cup was bent, so they had to pull it back and bend it back. I don't think that was a real cup. That was the second cup, and they give the guys a party with. So
I'm sure the cup's been
you can do whatever the fuck you want with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm sure the cup's been put through the ringer too, like especially in the
my
old days.
God.
Like I'm sure it's been an absolute shit show.
If the
Back when there was no rules.
If the cup could talk, I would love to hear some of those stories.
Yeah.
I bet you there's some good stories that go along with it.
Do you know those cup guys, the guys that just travel around with it?
Yeah, so I knew the cup guy that year that was with us. He's actually from Mimico.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But then you get to know all the guys when they come around and all that. So yeah, it was pretty fun. They're all good guys.
How cool is that, bringing the cup home to Mimico and I just having the parade and
Yeah. So in 2010, I brought it back, and I think all that Mimico out there was packed, and
yeah.
there was I forget how many people there was. There was a lot of people there. I don't think I took to the Blue Goose that year because there was just so many people, and I don't think it was gonna fit, and it'd be crazy. So I rented out a music nightclub.
Yeah.
In downtown Toronto, and we had people come, and it was packed. We had a lot of people there. So the parade was fun. We got to sign autographs. Everybody was there, take pictures. I think not Rob Ford, but Ford's brother came. They were all there, so it's pretty funny. So then that was done. So I took it around to some hospitals and got kids to see it. Took around the places around Mimico, Mama Martino's.
Oh no way!
Oh, yeah.
I went to elementary school with the son of the guy who owns Mama Martino's.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I forget his name. But so we took it there, and everybody got to take pictures. And you take it to all like little local spots around Mimico, so people can see it and experience it. So I think I had it. So if you get the cup, there's sometimes if you get the cup on the right time, you get it for 2 nights. Okay. So I got it for 2 nights. So I got it. It came in late on like a Friday. So I think the first time we had a big party at Mark Grimes' house. So it was a big party there in the backyard, and we came out, everybody took pictures and had a good time. And then that night was fine. And the next day was a parade, and we did everything that went along with it. And then that was the night we rented out a music nightclub. And then I had a big suite downtown Toronto. All my buddies came back to, and we kept on partying there until I don't know what time, but
I'm sure it was fun. Yeah, the Grimes backyard is a legendary party place, so I'm sure you guys had fun back there too.
Cancer Grimes.
Yeah. Okay, we'll make the transition into like the Leafs. So I wanted to ask you about the different markets, how that sort of affected you moving from Chicago to the Leafs.
There was no difference through the markets because they're both original 6 teams. They're both big market cities. So it was kind of nice. I went from one, well, at the time when I got to Chicago, it was shit. It was bad. Then it kind of translated and became back to where it used to be. And Toronto is Toronto. I loved playing in Toronto. I liked it there. Everything that went along with Toronto. I wanted to stay, but hey, the money is I had 2 cups, and sometimes you got to look after yourself and look after what you need to take care of in life. So I wanted to stay there, but they kind of lowballed me and signed a contract. So I loved it. That first few weeks before I got injured, it was fun. We had a good team that year. I think we were first in those first 12 games. Like, we were on a roll. I was on a roll. I think I had like 12 points in 12 games or something like that. And like that was that was my free agent year. That, hey, like, fuck, if I have a good year here, I'd love to stay, but go somewhere else, make more money. With anybody out there, you want to make more money anywhere you go. So we had a good team that year, and I eventually cut my ankle there in Vancouver, my perineal tendon. I got back for like my last 2 games. I probably shouldn't have been playing the last 2 games, but I wanted to show that I'm coming back and I want to play. I did a lot of rehab, and then that summer we came into negotiation talks, and we just couldn't come to an agreement, and I eventually went somewhere else.
You ended up in Florida, right?
Yeah, I ended up in Florida. Yeah.
That's not a bad spot to, to end up.
So I had some buddies there, and my old GM was there, and like, we couldn't come to an agreement with Toronto. They were lowballing me at the time, and I was like, well, like, I'm not going to take that when when Florida's going to give me 5.5. I'm like, okay. I'm like, I'm going to stay here.
Plus the taxes over there were.
Well, now in Toronto, like, I remember I came from Chicago and I was getting paid, I think, 3.5, and my check got cut in half even more when I came to Toronto. That's probably the shittiest part. And then I don't know if that's probably why players don't want to come play here, is because taxes. And why not go to Dallas, Florida, anywhere, these no state taxes, and play and make more money. So I already had 2 cups. I was happy. So, and I wanted to go down to Florida and try and make something of that, and kind of help that team along. But my ankle and back didn't hold up as I promised it would have. Like, it didn't hold up. There were surgeries I could have done. There's a lot of stuff that I could have done to try and do it, but they weren't 100% proof, and they didn't give me a good enough percentage to be like, hey, like, you're going to be back to 100%. It'd more be like, hey, you might be back to 80% or less. So when it came down to that, I just said, fuck, like, I'm going to have to retire here and look after myself and make sure I'm looked after. So, but the funny thing about it is, I remember my agent coming towards me and saying, so Vancouver, I think I signed in Florida for 5.5 over 5 years. And I think Vancouver was going to offer me 5.5 or 6 for like 6 or 7 years. But I said, fuck, as a Chicago player, I wouldn't be able to go play for Vancouver and come back to Chicago. I'd be put up on a stick. So
with the Sedins, right?
You would have been teammates with the Sedin sisters.
I couldn't do that. So I said, fuck that. I'm like, I'll go to Florida. So yeah, I went to Florida, but I wish things could have went a little better there, and my body would have held up, but injuries catch up with you, and sometimes they catch up with you a little quicker than usual. And yeah.
How are you feeling now with the injuries?
Well, a lot of things. I've got back problems, so my day-to-day things are tough. I've got a newborn. Just holding a newborn's tough. Eventually, I'm gonna have surgery on.
Fuck.
Yeah, so I can get around and play golf sometimes. But by the time I get out, I gotta sit in a cold tub. I've got to get a massage, and I've got to take care of my back and my ankle. So it's all on my one left side where everything goes. So I kind of walk with a limp and so, but I got to have back surgery here soon, and I got to have an ankle surgery. So there's a lot of things that come along with the game that you don't think about with some people. Is it takes a toll on your body, and you got to be prepared to take that beating and take it after. Some guys skivvy through with nothing, and I think if you skivvy through with nothing, then I don't think you've won a cup, or I don't really think you've done nothing. But when you're done hockey, you feel the pain of your hands and your back and ankles and head injuries. So they catch up to you.
Yeah, just speaking about head injuries, like, so I had to retire because of concussions, and like I've had headaches for years now. You played with Dan Carcillo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, just like, what are your thoughts on just like from when you started your career to now, like just how they deal with concussions in the NHL?
Well, I think there was a bigger look at them because I remember talking to Dale Hunter. I'm always around him. My best friend is Dylan Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
If they ever thought they had a concussion, they'd probably go out and have 20 beers and fuck.
Yeah.
Probably get them back into their equal or whatever you could call it. And he's like, fuck, I was fine the next day. I was good. I got the bell rung. But same, I think I probably had like 3 or 4 concussions when I played. When I was in Chicago, I got one bad one. At the time, I remember, I forget who hit me. It's an elbow to the back of the head of Kubalik, or I forget who it was. But I remember I came back to the bench, went back out, and I think the play was going on in one end, and I was in the other end, just skating around. My team, my trainers, like, okay, like you got to go to the back. And I don't think they didn't have the at the time they didn't have the spotter, and they didn't have a lot of the things that was going on now that they do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I remember I went back, and he's like, "Okay, can you remember bird, plane, and chicken, something like that?" He's like, "I'll be back in 10 minutes. Just sit here." So I just remember sitting there like this, my head, and came back, and he's like, "Okay, what are those 3 words?" I was like, "Fuck." I'm like, "Fuck, I don't know."
Yeah.
And I just started breaking down crying, and I was like, "Holy shit." So you can see that concussions are a big thing now, and like they need to be looked after, and you need to be looked after. You can see what's going on in football and a lot of things that are going on. So there should be you only get one brain, you only get one head, right? So there should be some well-known facts and stuff that goes along with this. So yeah, it should be looked after.
Yeah. Do you?
Yeah, we can go. Want to go into some more retirement stuff, some more fun stuff? You down for that? All right. I kind of want to talk about golf if you're down for that. Just a quick little thing. What's the coolest person you've played with, and what's the coolest course that you've got? I know you just played NBA's course, didn't you? Or did I hear that right?
Yeah. So I don't know. I played with some people. Like we always play. Like you always play with a few hockey players. We just played MJ's course.
That's fucking awesome.
With Brad Richards. He's a good guy. And Brandon Pruss. We were down there. And we played with Ed Jovanovski. He's a scratch. He's good. He's a member at Adios in Florida. I'm a member at Whisper Rock in Arizona. Have you heard of that place?
Yep. Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
nice.
So I'm a member there. So I think we have about 50 PGA members there. So like Graham Dillette. I got to meet Graham Dillette, really nice guy, hell of a golfer. I think Max Holm was a member, Phil, but it's just a great guys course. So when you step into that Whisper Rock, it's all egos are gone. You're just another person there. You're not Dave Bolland. You're not anybody. You're just another guy there to have fun with your buddies and enjoy the course. But it's a special. That place is special, really special. And like we go down there probably once a month with all my buddies. So
That's awesome. How's your golf game?
I'm down to about a 4 or 5 handicap.
Fuck.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Not bad, but it's not good in money games. So
Yeah, you're honestly
I like being a 10. And
I mean, yeah, I'm like a 7 or 8 right now, so I'm kind of like in the best time for betting in terms of golf.
you get that 9 or 10, you get those extra shots on a few of those guys that they count.
Oh, yeah.
So I remember when I was a 9 or 10, I'd be collecting money every day. Now I feel like I'm just handing out money. It's just like, here's more money. Here's
Yeah, that's when you get more beers in you though too.
Yeah. So we here in London, I'm a member at the Hunt Club and Redtail Golf Course and the Oaks. They're all 3 great courses. The Oaks is kind of like a men's course, guys course.
Mm-hmm.
Redtail is a high end and really great course. It's up there with all the nicest courses you could talk about in the world. Redtail is a supreme, and like it's just a place out kind of in the middle of nowhere, just out in St. Thomas there, and you open these gates and you just see this nice house and these nice greens, and it's a special place to be a member. And then the Hunt Club is kind of like a family course, but we got leagues and all those, so we're playing there every week, and it's fun, and that's kind of my hobby now is golf. I've probably got, you guys probably can't see it here, but I got these bags.
Oh wow.
Unreal.
Scotty Cameron,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's unreal.
Those are fucking sweet.
Where do you collect all those from?
Then I collect like putters.
That's
Sweet.
Awesome.
Any what's your prized possession in there? Anything cool?
Yeah, I got a Scotty Cameron putter there. I think I paid like $5,000 for it.
Nice.
Oh shit.
It's pretty cool. It's like all like garnished, and yeah. But I don't really touch them. I got like a few Circle T's. So yeah, they're, go ahead.
Are there any guys who are like notorious sandbaggers? Who
No, not really. No, not really. Like, you put your scores in. Like,
yeah.
if you don't put your scores in, then you know. But no, nobody that we usually no hockey guys that we play with that's a sandbagger that doesn't really that
defeats the
plays.
purpose.
Like, no, like we play with Drew Doughty. He's the same as me. He's probably around a 4 or 5. He's been down like a 3 or 2, I think. But yeah, like we got a lot of guys that play here. It's fun.
There's a lot of NHLers in that area, like just from the St. Thomas, London area.
Yeah. So we got a lot of guys. Bo Horvat's out here. Corey Perry. There's tons of guys. But it's fun because there's always something going on here. There's always a golf game or something going on, so it's good.
That's fucking awesome.
Nice. What other retirement goals you got going on? You still kind of trying to work out, golf, that kind of thing, or is there anything else you do?
I don't really work out. I sit in the sauna with a little bike and I get my sweat in. I ride the bike sometimes. I don't really. When I played, I didn't really like working out either. So but I try and get a sweat just to keep everything moving in the body. What's more now, I sit in a cold tub. I do a lot of time in a cold tub. They say it's good for your body and good for a lot of things, for my back. So I got a cold tub, but I'm moving back down to Florida. So
Nice.
I'm getting out of London. I'm kind of sick of this cold weather. So I'll be moving back down to Florida to get back to the warm weather and get back to golf all year round.
I'm jealous. That's one spot I want to go to is Florida, especially all throughout the pandemic. I'd see that
Everyone go to Miami every weekend.
Yeah, we went to Florida, and it was like stepping into like Mars. We're like, oh fuck, nothing goes on here, and this is going on in Canada. And you're like, shit.
Yeah.
I go to the States every Thursday to Sunday, so those days I don't have to wear masks, and then I come back on Monday, and Monday to Thursday I gotta wear masks again. It's like,
yeah, I know, it's crazy. So it's I've had a house since I played. I've had it rented out, so it was my old coach Quinville that's renting it. So
Nice.
I kind of had to kick him out. So I was like, I think we're moving back down there. So he's like, okay. But
gotta do what you gotta do.
Are you involved in all with hockey, like with Florida or Chicago?
No. I was just before the pandemic. I was gonna start doing stuff with Chicago, but the pandemic, all the shit happened with everything, so nothing came about it. So for me now, I'm just living life, traveling, golfing, hanging out with my kids. That's all that matters now.
Are you gonna try and do more like podcast stuff or like this kind of thing?
Done some at the times, but there's always people. There's always people DMing me asking to come on, and so whenever one feels, if I feel good that day, I'll do one. If not, I won't do one. But yeah.
Well, fuck. Thanks for doing ours. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's just from like a fan perspective, or like someone who grew up like watching guys like you or Upshaw or like Whitney. It's pretty cool to see more guys like talk about the stuff and have podcasts. Like Missing Curfew and Spinning Chicklets, I know for like our age group are two of the biggest fucking podcasts.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. So I was just O'Brien. I went to the Super Bowl and he was in LA, so I got to see him. He's a buddy of mine, but yeah, so like it's pretty cool what they're all doing and how they're doing it. So they're kind of bringing a new life to hockey, and the backstory is what actually goes on and the fun times of what goes on, instead of just we go to the rink, we play hockey, and we do this, but there's some fun stories that we do outside of hockey, and there's some fun shit that goes on that needs to be told. And I think Missing Curfew and Wit and that at what is it called again? What do they do? What's Wit and them?
Chicklets, Spinning Chicklets.
And what they're all doing is awesome. So it's good for hockey, and it's good for the new age of kids to see what goes on and the fun times. So yeah, it's good.
I think we got a couple questions from the fans. So Nick, want to break those out?
Yeah, we have some questions from our fans. Basically, so one, did you ever bring the cup to Apache Burger?
No, I don't think I did take it to Apache. I don't know. I'm not sure if I did or not.
I think your photo's on the wall in there.
Yeah, your photo's on the wall for sure. Not with the cup.
Not with the cup, just in there. But we go there every time we get drunk. We go after to the Apache Burger pretty much. So we always see like your picture in there. So we wanted to ask you about that.
I'm not sure if I took it there, but I think I went there a few times. But yeah.
Yeah. Any Phil Kessel stories?
Phil. Yeah. No, Phil was always fun. He was good. Yeah, it was always funny. I think the first few times I met him, he used to walk in with like a extra large iced cappuccino that has like 4,000 calories in it.
Fuck.
And I'd just be like, Phil, I was like, I don't think those are good for you. And he's like, fuck you, Bulls. He's like, fuck, I'll do whatever the fuck. But Phil was off. Phil was Phil. Like, he hands down has some of the best skill and speed in the league. And like his pregame would just be going to get his legs massaged, and guys were in, like, pregame to get warmed up for a game. Guys would be on the bike doing dynamic and doing all that. He would sit in his stall and he'd wait until probably like 30 minutes before we had to go on the ice, and he'd go get his massage, and then he'd come and throw all of his gear on and go out the ice. Probably scored 2 or 3 goals. So he was a fun guy. I liked Phil. Phil was he was a good teammate and a good guy to be.
Yeah, such a beauty.
I saw him out a few times in Toronto. Phil. Were you guys, when you guys were on Toronto, were you more of a King West guy, or did you stay true to Mimico and those bars, or
where'd the Leafs go out?
I got hurt, but at the start we'd be hanging out at EFS, and we'd be hanging out at all the places downtown. I had a condo at the Ritz, so I was right there.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to be living in Mimico when I played for the league. But I eventually got hurt, so I was hurt that season. So I was actually hanging out at the Blue Goose more than anything, just because everybody was there. All my buddies were there, so we would all hang out, and I'd go there and have beers and wings and watch our games.
Yeah.
Get some privacy.
Who is your favorite teammate or favorite teammates?
So my favorite, I'd have to say Steve's is Brent Seabrook's a great guy. Johnny Tays, he's up there, top teammate. He was always fun. In Toronto, we had Loops, we had Castle, Bozak, Nas. We had a lot of good guys. And then in Florida, we had Uppy, we had Jimmy Hayes that was there. We had a lot of guys. So on every team, you had a bunch of guys that were all great teammates. So
Yeah.
we had some fun. Every team I was on, we always had a little group that would. Some guys wouldn't go out, but we had a group that always went out. So we always used to party.
Do you think nowadays guys can't handle going out as much and then like being able to play the next day or being able to practice the next day?
Just different times.
I don't know. I think it's a little different because when I was growing up in London, we used to drink hard. We used to have beers at night and then be up in the morning and go skate.
Yeah.
Even in Chicago, we had every Sunday, we had every Monday off, and fuck, you put your body through hell. I want to go out and have a good time and have fun. Like, so we kind of got used to that. I remember Q he'd always try and skate close to me just so he can smell me too. But I was always a little faster than him. He couldn't catch up to me. But yeah, I remember a few times playing hungover, and those were probably some of my best games.
That's a skill though.
Oh, yeah, it is. I think it was Scotty Upshaw and I. We were playing for Florida, and we went out for dinner with Loops. We were playing Toronto, and I was back in Toronto, and we all went out, and we got pretty banged up. And I think I got home at like 3 or 4 in the morning, and we were playing that next day at like 7. We had pregame skate. I didn't have breakfast. Didn't eat breakfast. Went out, had a pregame skate. Came back. I think I had like chicken noodle soup for my pregame meal. And then before we go to the rink, we had like a snack. So we had a snack. I think I just nibbled on something. I was so hungover. Got to the rink, just wanted to get the game over with. Got out on the ice. I think I had like a goal and an assist.
Fuck.
Yeah.
I just remember running into the Loops and being like, fuck, I'm hurting. Yeah. He's like, yeah, me too. But
it's almost worse if you nap too, because then you just get hungover after you wake up.
Yeah. I'm just trying to stay as far away from the coach as you can, so they don't smell you. But yeah, I think the game is a little different now. You can see how it is. It is different. You can see how it was when I played, and guys used to go out and have beers all the time. Nights before games, we probably have a bottle or 2 of wine, just to put us to sleep at night. But yeah, it's a changed game, but it's changed for the good.
Yeah, well, fuck, I remember one night, like, I remember him and I went out in the summer, and he had like a big playoff game for lacrosse, and it's like 5:30 in the morning, and you're just going down, and I just thought to myself, like, how the fuck are you gonna play? Yeah. And we went and watched his game, and I was dying in the stands, and you had like 3 rips or something. Oh
yeah, lacrosse is like it's different too, right? You're running around the whole time, you're just sweating in the hot arena, so it's like it's really hard to be hungover. Right? I only done it like once or twice, and it's just like holy shit.
On ice, you're kind of gliding. You can kind of like glide around, and you can kind of hide a bit. But yeah, lacrosse is a little tougher.
There was one story on Chicklets where somebody like took an Ambien because they couldn't sleep at like 2:30 p.m. and didn't know what it was when they took it. So they just gave him a pill, and he fell asleep and woke up and was like, I can't see. Like he was out there trying not to piss his pants when he gets hit and all that thing. So it wasn't that bad, but yeah. All right, bud. I think we're good.
I think that's it for the questions. But thanks a lot for coming on, Dave. Like, this was fucking awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
I have one more question for you. Do you think hockey nicknames are some of the most like unoriginal? Because all the guys I call is like ends in an ER, like Fosser or Millsy, like SY. Like what's your nickname? Is Bowles?
Bowles or Bowlesy, it was. Yeah. Or I think Eager used to call me Greyhound. Because I was all cock and ribs. So yeah. It's I think all like nicknames like Caner, Taser.
Yeah.
It's either ER or Y at the end.
Yeah.
Or however you want to say it. But yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's anywhere with nicknames. Yeah.
All right, brother. Well, hopefully we chat soon. We'll get some golf games going. Hopefully in the future, we'll do something.
It's fun. I'll take you guys out for sure.
Yeah. Thank you. Maybe we'll see you at Joe Cool's.
Yeah. Maybe.
All right, brother.
Fuck.
So yeah, thanks again.
Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it.
Peace.
No worries. Have a good one.